Hello everyone, this is Coding with Ninja and today we're going to be talking about remote events and what they are. So basically, what is a remote event? A remote event is an interaction between a server and a client, okay? So in other words, we can have two scripts interact with each other through using events, okay? Particularly remote events. And there's another one called bindable events, but I'm going to make a separate video about it. But let's talk about remote events for now, okay? So first of all, we want to go and create a remote event in replicate storage. So insert an object and call it a remote event. I'm just going to call this mm, I'll just call this maybe just leave it the way it is. We'll just leave it the way it is. But oh, you know what? We'll just call it remote. Okay. You can call it how you want to call it, I'm not really good when it comes to naming variables and stuff like this, but we'll just keep it simple. Just call it remote, okay? I don't recommend you, or not even recommend, don't put a remote event here because clients don't have access to server storage. Only the server does, okay? But the replicate storage, both clients and the servers have access to the server storage. That's why you put it here, okay? But you could put it anywhere you want to put it, right? But don't put it right here because they don't have because clients don't have access to the storage from the server. Okay, so we'll do that first, and I'm gonna go and place a script in here. So we're gonna call this server. Okay, so in here I'm gonna say script dot parent. Okay, or actually no, let's go and get the remote. Yeah, let's go and try and reference it here. Okay, so what we want to do is get this get this remote event. So we will say something like remote event equals game dot replicate storage, and then find first child, and then something like remote, right? And then we can say remote event, so on server event, and then you want to go and connect it with a function, and then you want to pass in the player, right? So a player is, if you guys don't know what a player is, so a player is a type of object. It's referencing to the player. You know, like it's referencing to the client, and then for the second argument, you can have as many. It's they call this a tuple. So you can basically pass in as many arguments as you want. You can pass in an instance, or primitive data, or a table or anything, right? But in this case, we're gonna go and let's pass in a value. Okay, so I'm gonna call it val in this. And then yeah. So when you say on server.event, right, it just means that when when one or when one entity is firing the server, that then or firing a server or something like that, then this event will catch it and it will perform the functionalities from here to here. Okay, so that's what you want to do. And then in here, let's go on to the starter GUI. Okay, I'm gonna go place a local script here, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, first of all, we want to reference the player, so we'll say player equals game dot players dot local player. So basically, what if you guys don't know what local player is? Basically, it's just the client, or the client in the game. So for me, I am the client. So if I were to run the game, um, and I'm in it, I'm the client. Okay, so that's what you want to do, and then we want to go ahead and get the remote event. So from the replicated storage, so we would say remote event equals game dot replicate storage, and then get the remote event. And then what you want to do is you want to go and fire the server. Okay, so the parameters that you need to pass, do not pass in the player. Okay, so you do not need to, yeah, yeah, you know what, you don't Oh yeah, we don't need to pass in the player in this case, okay? Because when you fire the server, okay, I mean it's already it's gonna know that, you know, I mean, by default, it's gonna pass the player. So you have to pass in, you know, by default it passes in the player, okay, for just one argument. But if you want to pass in other values, let's say, or other instances, then you will need to add an argument here. So the only thing that we're just gonna pass in is a number. So we'll just pass in 10, okay, and then we're gonna go print out the function and say and let's see, inside the, you know, inside the server function, something like that, okay, with a value of this one. Okay, so basically what that does is, so we're gonna go to the replicate storage, you know, get the remote event, and then we're gonna fire server. So what the fire server does is it's basically telling it's basically triggering an event, you know, triggering this, you know, this event, and then this event will catch it, and it's gonna go and do something, right? So we don't need to pass it. So if you go on the Roblox APIs, if you read more about remote events, it'll tell you like which parameters to pass. In this case, we don't need you to pass. Yeah, we don't need to pass in the player. Okay, because it's in the locals, because it's already in the local script. So or the local script already knows that you're the player, so we don't really need to pass it. But we just need to pass in 10 because we're passing in one argument. So if you want to pass more stuff, okay. So let's say I want to pass in let's say hello world, right? Let's say I want to pass in 2 items. That means that we have to pass in a string. Okay. With a value of 10, and string is going to be the string. Okay. So we're gonna, oh yeah, and then let me call this the client. So I'm gonna print this. So calling in the remote event, and then from here inside the or yeah, you know, and then it'll perform something here. So if we were to play it, okay, okay, so pay attention to the output here, and then you'll see what I'm talking about, and then we'll kind of go through it. Okay. Okay. So if you take a look at this output, so calling in the remote event. So if you click here, it prints on the function, and then after that, it's gonna go and fire the server. When you fire the server, right? It's gonna, you know, it's going to, yeah, it's going to trigger this event. So you go here, the event gets triggered. Now we're going through this event. So it's gonna perform any functionalities here. So which is to, okay, yeah, don't mind about this. Yeah, don't mind about this one. This is nothing. Um, so we just had to print. So basically print this part. So inside the server with a function of value of 10, since we pass in 10 as the second argument. Okay, and then we also pass in a string. So we pass in hello world. So and the string hello world, right? So that's basically what remote events do. It's basically the communications between um, yeah, communications between the server and the client. Okay, so now let's see what happens if we were to go the other way around. Okay, so let's say that we want to go and fire the client. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, Yeah, I know this video is gonna, yeah, I only have like 15 minutes, or actually not 15 minutes. I only have 5 minutes left because I only have the free version. So I'm probably gonna make a part two out of this if I'm running out of time. Okay. So okay, so okay. Actually no, let me leave this here for now. So you guys can actually, no, you don't need to copy. Actually, no, you guys don't need to copy the code. But you guys could get some ideas from here, right? Because maybe you guys want to use this for something else. So, because if I were to copy and paste it on, onto my GitHub or something, you probably might use it for something else, like change my code or something. So we probably don't need this. So, okay. So let's go. Let's go get in. Let's try the other way around. Okay. So game.players. And then we'll say player added. So player added is a type of event that when the player gets added, it does something. So pass in the function, and then actually not pass in the function. You can call in the function and then pass in the player. Okay. And then okay, let me go and get in the remote. So find first child remote. So remote event. So we're gonna go and fire client. Okay. So Fire client is the same thing, but except that the server is calling in the client to do something. You know, so maybe you want to send in, you want the server to send a message to all the players. That's when you want to use fire all clients, or to a single player. That's when you want to use fire client. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go and fire client, and let's not pass in anything. Oh yeah, we do have to pass in the player. So this is required. You have to pass in the player, the player object. Otherwise, it will not work. So when you go here, so when you say game dot replicate storage, find first child, and then on client event. So connect function, and then you don't have to pass. We don't pass anything in this case because we're passing the player. So it's the other way around. So you don't pass in any arguments in here unless you want to, unless you want to pass of one, right? Let's say you pass another value, then you have to add one argument here too. So say at the client, and then we'll put something like print, and then we'll say from the server. Okay. Actually, we don't need to. Yeah, actually, we don't need to make a part two of this, but we'll still play it. So basically, what it does is it's the same thing. Um, get the get the server to call in the client and let the client do something called by the server. So let's play it wrong. Um, yeah, it does take a while. Okay, so basically, okay, so if you look at the statement, we have from the server and at the client. So it starts printing this function first, and then it goes on ahead and fire the client. So which is me. Okay, I'm the client in here. So um, so we're on an event, and then we're printing at the client. So which is right here. Okay. So oh yeah, and I talked about this. There's another method called fire all clients. It's literally the same thing, except that you don't pass in player this time because you're going to be firing all clients. Maybe you want to send a message to all the players for something. Maybe you want to send a GUI message or something like that. That's when you want to use fire all clients too. If you want to send a message to all players, you know. But in this video, I'll be using fire client because I'm the only one. I'm the only one in the server. So. All right. Um, thank you guys for watching my video. Hopefully you guys learned from something. If you guys have any questions, comment down below. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys later.